It was a quiet morning in Chelmsford, England. The kind of morning where the sun creeps slowly across rooftops and the world seems just ordinary, almost peaceful. But inside Jack Ciple's small apartment, the ordinary was shattered. Neighbors would later describe hearing shouting, angry, desperate, and frightening echoing through the walls. The noise stopped as suddenly as it began, leaving an uneasy silence behind, a silence that would soon be pierced by the harsh reality of tragedy. Hours later, when police arrived, the scene inside the apartment would shock even the most seasoned officers. There, lying lifeless, was 19-year-old Ashley Wadsworth, a young woman from Vernon, British Columbia, Canada, who had crossed the world in search of love, only to meet betrayal, obsession, and a fate no one could have imagined. Ashley's story was not one of reckless adventure or youthful carelessness. It was a story of hope, trust, and ultimately, heartbreak. How did a bright, lively, and loving young woman end up in such a devastating situation? What led a transatlantic friendship to spiral into obsession, abuse, and murder? And what warning signs were missed along the way? To understand, we must first meet Ashley. Ashley Wadsworth was born on July 25, 2002, in Vernon, British Columbia, into a large and tight-knit family. The youngest daughter of Kenneth and Christy, she shared her childhood with her older sister, Haley, and later with two half-siblings, Crystal and Brandon, after her father remarried. Family wasn't just important to Ashley, it was the heart of her world. She adored her niece, Paisley, Haley's daughter, and her bond with family members spanned generations, reflecting a warmth and loyalty that would define her. Ashley was vibrant, outgoing, and endlessly curious about the world. Her days were filled with activities: swimming in the crisp waters of British Columbia, horseback riding through scenic trails, skiing down snowy slopes, and competing in tennis matches. Music was another part of her soul. She played the clarinet and delighted in sharing songs and stories with friends. Online, she thrived as well, posting memes, jokes, and snapshots of her adventures, a glimpse into the life of a young woman who radiated joy. Yet, amidst all this energy and promise, Ashley's heart was open to connection beyond her immediate world. It was through social media that she met Jack Cipple, a boy from Essex, England, an encounter that would change everything. Jack Cipple was born on January 9, 1999, into a family that was complex and fractured. He lived with his mother, Tracy Dalton, and stepfather Ricky, while his relationship with his late father was strained. Jack's family connections were limited. He had little contact with his brother Jordan but remained close to his sister, Nadia. Described by those who knew him as both charming and unpredictable, Jack carried with him a history of challenges. Schoolmates noticed moments of aggression. Teachers noted his struggles with authority, and acquaintances recalled a personality that could switch from humorous to volatile without warning. Behind the charm was a darker, more controlling side that would later emerge with devastating consequences. Jack and Ashley were introduced online by a mutual friend in 2015. Ashley was just 12 years old, Jack 15. Despite the age difference and the vast distance between them, they bonded over shared interests, spending hours in conversation online. What began as casual chats evolved into video calls, gifts, and deeper emotional investment. Jack would send Ashley clothes, teddy bears, and money, cultivating a connection that seemed affectionate, even loving, to the outside observer. But beneath the gestures of attention, there were troubling signs. Jack's obsession with Ashley quickly became evident. When blocked during arguments, he would find ways to reach her through new accounts or mutual friends. In a shocking display of fixation, he even tattooed Ashley's name on his arm. Those who cared for Ashley noticed his jealousy and controlling behavior, yet she remained captivated by him, believing in the boy she had come to know over years of digital friendship. For years, Ashley and Jack's connection existed in the digital world, a space where distance could be ignored and personalities could be carefully curated. Video calls allowed them to see each other laugh, share secrets, and feel close despite thousands of miles separating them. Jack's presence became a constant in Ashley's life, appearing in every corner of her social media and digital world. Yet, the relationship was not without warning signs. Jack's controlling tendencies surfaced repeatedly. Arguments often escalated, and when Ashley tried to set boundaries, he would find new ways to circumvent them, appearing under different usernames or convincing mutual friends to relay messages. His obsession deepened over time. A tattoo bearing Ashley's name on his arm became a permanent symbol of attachment, alarming her family, who feared the intensity was far from healthy. Despite the red flags, Ashley's feelings were unwavering. She trusted in the bond they had built, in the boy she had known for years, and in the hope that love could overcome any obstacle. As she grew older, her dream of meeting Jack in person became stronger, a dream that would soon push her across the Atlantic. By 2018, Ashley, now 16, expressed a desire to finally meet Jack in person. Her family, wary of the dangers of traveling alone, refused to let her go. But Ashley's determination never faltered. She saved money from part-time jobs at fast food restaurants and department stores, gaining financial independence and a renewed sense of agency over her life. Finally, on November 12, 2021, Ashley, now 19, boarded a plane to the United Kingdom, armed with a 6-month tourist visa and the hope of fulfilling a long-held dream. This was more than a visit. It was a milestone, a step into adulthood, and a leap of faith into the unknown. She imagined walking alongside Jack, exploring Chelmsford, perhaps even considering a future where she could live in England and continue her education. The excitement and anticipation of this journey defined her courage that would soon meet unimaginable danger. Ashley arrived at London Gatwick Airport on November 13, 2021. For the first time, the virtual connection she had nurtured for years became flesh and blood. Photos were taken, selfies were shared, and a digital life became reality. To those who saw them together, the pair seemed happy. Jack, smiling beside Ashley, their energy seemingly in harmony. But appearances can be deceiving. While Ashley embodied youth, joy, and hope, Jack's appearance, heavily tattooed, with a visibly older and hardened demeanor, hinted at a gap not only in age, but in life experience. He lived alone in a modest public housing apartment in northwest Chelmsford, a neighborhood with a reputation that caused Ashley's family to worry. Yet for Ashley, these details were minor compared to the thrill of finally being with someone she had known and loved for years. Initially, Jack appeared charming and attentive. They explored the city together, adopted a small puppy named Winston, and shared moments of laughter and intimacy. Ashley posted online, painting a picture of bliss. But beneath this veneer, tensions began to surface. Jack's volatility, occasional cruelty, and controlling tendencies hinted at the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. In those early weeks, Ashley was confined to Jack's apartment, unable to work due to her tourist visa, and dependent on Jack, who relied on social assistance and sporadic help from his mother. His behavior grew increasingly restrictive. He discouraged her from speaking to neighbors, curtailed her activities, and monitored her interactions with friends. Even attending church, a connection Ashley had cultivated with missionaries back home, was forbidden. Ashley navigated these challenges carefully, hiding conversations and bruises, documenting her life in secret, and confiding only in her sister and close friends. Yet, despite the mounting warning signs, she remained hopeful that her love and patience could reach the boy she had known for years, a hope that would tragically be shattered. At first, the signs were subtle, small restrictions, mild jealousy, but over time, Jack's behavior became increasingly volatile. He grew reclusive, spending hours smoking cannabis and playing video games instead of joining Ashley in outdoor activities she loved. The freedom and joy she had anticipated in England began to feel like confinement. His controlling tendencies intensified. He monitored her social media, restricted her contact with friends, and forbade her from attending church or connecting with supportive figures from her home community. Ashley, however, tried to maintain some control over her life in secret. She texted American missionaries she had met before her trip, deleted conversations to hide them, and confided in her sister Haley, all the while trying to keep Jack calm. By late December 2021, Jack's volatility turned physically dangerous. He admitted in a text to his mother that he had struck Ashley in a jealous rage. Bruises began to appear, hidden from the outside world but secretly documented by Ashley. Each act of violence was paired with apologies and promises to change, perpetuating a cycle of abuse that left Ashley emotionally trapped. She clung to the hope that Jack could be the boy she had known online, the charming, affectionate friend she had trusted for years. Ashley's family grew increasingly concerned. Her sister Haley discovered the abuse and begged her to return home. Messages were exchanged, and phone calls lasted for hours, but Ashley, torn between fear and hope, refused to leave. Her mother, unaware of the full extent, pleaded with her to reconsider, emphasizing the danger she faced. Efforts to protect her were hampered by the distance and Jack's manipulative control. Even when her family arranged a return flight and warned Jack that authorities would be involved if Ashley were harmed, the young woman hesitated, believing she could somehow help Jack overcome his violent tendencies. During this period, Jack's behavior remained unpredictable. He alternated between remorseful apologies and explosive aggression. Candles and remote controls were thrown during arguments. Ashley was forced to clean up broken glass while video calling her sister. The world saw snapshots of Joy the puppy, Winston, cheerful selfies, but behind closed doors, a terrifying reality unfolded. The morning of February 1st, 2022, began like any other, yet it would become a day marked by unimaginable horror. Around 8 a.m., neighbors heard Ashley screaming. She appeared at a neighbor's door, barefoot, crying, and bleeding from a cut on her hand. She describes Jack's rage over a photo on her phone, the smashing of her phone, and the horrifying act of throwing their puppy Winston against the wall. Despite the fear gripping her, Ashley begged her neighbor not to call the police. Fearing for her safety and uncertain how to act, the neighbor left, hoping the situation would de-escalate, but it did not. Hours passed, and Ashley tried desperately to reach family and friends back in Canada, sending urgent messages and pleading for help from church friends in Chelmsford. Tragically, due to time differences and technical delays, her cries went unheard until it was too late. Sometime between 12:38 and 12:45 p.m., the violence reached its catastrophic peak. Jack strangled Ashley and then stabbed her more than 90 times. After committing this brutal act, he continued with his day as if nothing had happened, playing video games, posting online, and even recording a video message addressed to Ashley's sister, expressing love and remorse, while Ashley's lifeless body lay beside him. It wasn't until later in the afternoon that authorities were alerted. Ashley's family, horrified by missed responses and frantic messages, contacted a friend in Chelmsford, who then called the police. By the time officers arrived, the tragic reality of Ashley's death had been revealed. Jack confessed, covered in blood, and was promptly arrested. The immediate aftermath of Ashley's murder sent shockwaves across 2 continents. In Vernon, Canada, her family awoke to a string of desperate messages from Ashley, only to realize that something was terribly wrong. Haley, her sister, feared the worst and contacted their father, Kenneth, who immediately reached out to Canadian authorities. Across the ocean in Chelmsford, police arrived at Jack Ciple's apartment, discovering the horrifying culmination of a tragic and abusive relationship. Jack was arrested on the spot, covered in blood, and confessed to the murder. He admitted to a psychotic episode, but would later face the full weight of justice. Toxicology reports revealed traces of cannabis and therapeutic levels of anti-anxiety medication in his system at the time of the crime. Psychiatric evaluations deemed him fit to stand trial, and the evidence against him, including a video recording he had made admitting to the murder, was overwhelming. The world watched as a story that began with innocent friendship and love transformed into a nightmare of obsession and fatal violence. The tragedy underscored the danger of abuse, control, and unchecked obsession, even in relationships that begin in seemingly harmless ways. Jack Cipple's trial at Chelmsford Crown Court revealed the full extent of his violent history, from early offenses in 2014, including hacking and harassment, to repeated abusive behavior toward former partners and even his own mother. The court painted a picture of a man whose obsession and aggression had escalated dangerously over years. During the sentencing hearing, Ashley's family learned the grim truth about the man who had taken their daughter's life. Letters from Jack expressing remorse were read, but they offered no solace. The judge made it clear, for someone with such a history of violence and, given the brutal nature of the crime, the only just sentence was life imprisonment. Jack was sentenced to life, with the possibility of parole only after 23 years, leaving Ashley's parents with a bittersweet sense of closure, justice served, yet their loss irreversible. The trial also highlighted systemic issues. Ashley's family discovered that despite searching for warnings about Jack's past, very little information was publicly available. In the UK, Clare's law allows individuals to request information about a partner's history of domestic abuse, but the process is slow, and proactive disclosure is not guaranteed. Questions arose about whether stricter measures could prevent such tragedies in the future. The tale of Ashley Wadsworth and Jack Cipple is both heartbreaking and cautionary. It is a story of love turned deadly, of trust betrayed, and of a young life stolen by obsession and violence. But it is also a story that emphasizes the importance of awareness, intervention, and support for those at risk. In remembering Ashley, we honor her vibrant spirit, her courage in pursuing her dreams, and her family's tireless efforts to preserve her memory. Her story reminds us all to pay attention to the signs of abuse, to act when warning signals appear, and to ensure that no cry for help goes unheard. If there's one lesson to carry from this tragedy, it's that love should never feel like fear, and hope should never blind us to danger. By telling Ashley's story, we keep her memory alive and we help prevent future tragedies from unfolding in silence.